With the approach of Hurricane Irma, today seems like the perfect day to talk about what to do when the weather turns bad at Walt Disney World. Now, Disney has many safeguards in place to protect guest safety while they're at Walt Disney World for a Category 3, 4, or even 5 hurricane, but today I want to go over some of those details and some things that could happen depending on how strong a storm is. To prioritize guest safety, one of the first things that Disney will do when they see a storm approaching is they'll waive the cancellation fees for upcoming trips. So if you have a trip planned and you see a hurricane making its way towards Florida, you may get a notification saying that you have the option to reschedule or push it back or even cancel completely depending on the size and severity of the storm. Disney may also cancel cruises in that area just to protect guest safety, and usually what they'll do is they'll reimburse all of the money and they'll also give you a discount toward a future Disney trip. Now when Florida declares a state of emergency, or whenever Disney feels like it and the time is right, Disney will activate the Resort Disaster Relief Center. Once this center is activated, Disney will keep it staffed 24 hours a day to ensure that someone is standing by in the event of some kind of disaster or emergency. Now if you're at Walt Disney World during the time a storm is making its way toward Florida, Disney will also give you lots of options for cancellations or rescheduling, or maybe reshuffling your days a little bit. But keep in mind, all of these policies do change and it varies based on the storm itself. If the storm is Category 3 or lower, usually it's not nearly as intense as if it's a 4 or higher, but you can find all of that information on the NOAA website, which I will link in the description of this video. Now when I was at Walt Disney World for Hurricane Matthew, Disney did a great job of keeping us all informed and safe.
I'm in the middle of Pop Century trying to do some checkout. You can see I am totally surrounded here. A lot of people trying to get some food before the hurricane begins.
Hey everyone, Michael here, a little costume change to get ready for the water here. They don't have food, but they do have coffee, water, tea that I got, but they are open here. You'll notice some people are out and about. Stormtrooper Michael here, just out here for a very quick moment during a lull in the storm. You'll notice the water here at the bridge to Art of Animation is not too high and not moving too fast. I'm going to show you. So far they don't have any activities for kids in the lobby. I've asked a few cast members, no word yet. However, the arcade is open and there are a few kids that are inside. Hey there everyone, Stormtrooper Michael here. I just spoke to a few cast members. I wanted to see how they felt about everything. First of all, believe it or not, the cast members who are here have been here since at least 6 p.m. last night, and they're the same cast members who are going to be here all the way until 7 a.m. tomorrow. That's Saturday. So huge thank you to all of them. Disney has made the entire arcade free for everyone for the day, so thank you, Disney. You'll notice here that the benches and the trash cans are tied down in the event that Hurricane Matthew had been stronger. We're very thankful that it wasn't. How does it feel to be here on one of the historic days where Disney World closes for an entire day? Only one word describes it: surreal. Absolutely surreal.
The curfew for our area has been lifted, and we are soon making more offerings available for you to enjoy.
The only thing I would have changed about the Hurricane Matthew response is the amount of food bags that were available during the storm. Now don't worry, no one starved during Hurricane Matthew. They were just taking a little extra time, maybe an hour or two, to prep those food bags for guests. But don't worry, knowing Disney like I do, they keep making improvements and adjustments to make things as convenient and safe as possible. So I have no doubt with each passing storm they get better and better, and I'm sure next time they're gonna have like a display of food that you can just choose from. Now if the storm is really bad, and I mean like serious storm here, Disney might take the option of closing the Disney parks. But if Disney feels that closing the parks is the best thing to do, they will try and let guests know as soon as possible. As soon as they make a decision, they will try and let everyone know. Now when I was at Walt Disney World for Hurricane Matthew and one of the historic days where Disney World closed all of their parks, I remember that there were loudspeaker announcements made at the Magic Kingdom. The announcement told us that the parks would be closed tomorrow and all the parks would be closing at like 7 p.m. that night, and we should go back to our rooms and get food and get prepared and then stay in our rooms for further announcements. And on the day of the hurricane, Disney would give us announcements via the phone and on TV, so we were always informed and knew what was going on. Now after talking about all that, I want to say that Disney does a great job of keeping everyone safe during major storms. Now I've been to Disney World during 2 major hurricanes, during Hurricane Charlie and during Hurricane Matthew, and I have to say both times Disney did a great job. Now the most intense storm I have ever experienced at Walt Disney World was Hurricane Charlie when I was 14 years old. My family and I were staying at the Polynesian Resort. Back then it wasn't called the Polynesian Village Resort, but it was the same place. At one point during that Category 4 storm, I remember that it was so intense that the cast members actually told us to come back to the Great Ceremonial House to kind of shelter in that larger building. We had games, we had food, it was actually kind of fun, but almost immediately after we all made it into the Great Ceremonial House, this gigantic palm tree came crashing down and smashed, I think, a big part of one of the buildings at the Polynesian. It was a gigantic tree, but I'm so thankful that everyone was out of those buildings and Disney took that precaution precaution to move everyone to the great ceremonial house just in time. The next day after the storm had passed, we stepped outside to take a look at the damage. There were leaves and there were tree limbs everywhere, and that big palm tree was smashed through like a piece of one of the buildings, but besides that, the damage actually wasn't that bad. Now, as you can imagine, for Disney efficiency, we went to the Magic Kingdom that next day after the storm had passed, and then when we came back that night, we were at the Polynesian, we looked around, the tree was gone, the building was already mostly repaired, and all of the little debris was absolutely gone. It's amazing how fast they were able to turn around back to standard operations. Now, while we can smile and look back and I can think about those memories of being in a hurricane, I don't want to glorify what a hurricane is. Hurricanes are extremely dangerous. Hurricane Charlie alone claimed the lives of 9 Floridians. And it goes to a point I really want to make. The most important thing that we have is life, and it's the one thing that we cannot replace. So at the end of the day, houses can be rebuilt, vacations can be rescheduled, and even money can be remade, but a life cannot be replaced. So please, no matter what you do, be safe during a major storm wherever you are. So if you live in Florida, or maybe you're planning a trip to Florida and a major storm is headed your way, make sure you take the time to listen to those evacuation orders and follow that path to see if rescheduling or evacuating is the best decision for you. Now, if you find yourself at Walt Disney World, or maybe you can't cancel for any reason, do know that Disney goes out of their way to make sure that all guests are safe during a major storm. Now that you know a little bit more about what Disney World does during a major storm, I'd love to hear your story. Have you been through a major storm at Walt Disney World in the past? And if so, let me know how it was to ride out the storm at the happiest place on earth. Thanks so much for being a part of the magic with me. Until next time, have a magical day. And if you live in an area that's been told to evacuate, please keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep your pets safe, and leave the area. It's just not worth your life. Now, I know a lot of things in the video today were pretty heavy and serious, and I try to avoid a lot of these serious topics, but this one is very important to me. Protecting life and protecting your family's lives and your pets' lives is very important to me, so take those steps and be safe.